Queens College has a long and proud history in support of civil rights, human rights, and social justice in American society. Nowhere is our legacy of activism more prominently displayed on campus than at the Cheney Goodman Schwerner Clock Tower, named after Queens College undergraduate student Andrew Goodman, as well as James Cheney and Michael Schwerner, the brother of former Director of Counseling and Academic Senate Chair Stephen Schwerner.
The day he died.
The three activists were tragically murdered in the summer of 1964 while taking part in Freedom Summer in Mississippi, a movement that helped register African Americans to vote for the first time. They built on a tradition forged by Queens College students and faculty who participated in the Southern Freedom Rides in the early part of the 1960s. Less than a year later, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. arrived at the Queens College campus on May 13, 1965. He gave the inaugural President John F. Kennedy Lecture to students on civil rights and to praise the efforts of Andrew Goodman and his colleagues.
I certainly stand here under the inspiration of the fact that it was Queens College that gave to America, and indeed to the world, Andy Goodman, whose creative witness will certainly live for generations yet unborn. He, along with others, paid the supreme price for this struggle, and I'm sure that we will see in many ways that his death was not in vain.
King's words proved prophetic. The Andrew Goodman Foundation was created in 1966 to honor Goodman's legacy and to encourage youth leadership development, voting accessibility, and social justice initiatives on campuses. Over the years, Queens College has sponsored the In the Footsteps program, which offers a unique opportunity for students to travel to and visit major Southern sites of the civil rights movement. Scheduled regularly during the week of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the program features highlights of Dr. King's quest for racial equality and justice. It is planned by Queens College professor Rabbi Moshe Shur, who is deeply involved with the civil rights struggles in the 1960s. He worked with Dr. King through the voter registration project known as SCOPE, or Summer Community Organization and Political Education. Through the In the Footsteps program, students have had the marvelous opportunity to meet historic figures such as Ambassador Andrew Young. Speaking of historic figures, Congressman John R. Lewis spoke at the 2009 Queens College commencement on a rainy yet unforgettable day.
One day, at the age of 15, I heard about Rosa Parks. I heard the words of Martin Luther King Jr. on old radio. And I was inspired to get in trouble. I was inspired to get in the way. I got in trouble. I got in the way. You too must find a way to get in the way. Find a way to get in the way. Find a way to stand up for what is right, for what is just, for what is good. You must do it. It is your calling.
The Queens College community deeply honors the legacy of Dr. King. We remember the words he spoke in his 1965 speech at Queens College.
You love every man, not because you like him, not because his ways appeal to you, but as theologians would say, because God loves him. And you rise to the level of loving the person who does the evil deed while hating the deed that the person does. And you resist the evil with all of your might and all of the strength that you can muster. But you maintain this active goodwill, knowing that hate destroys the hater as well as the hated.
Dr. King then expressed his profound hopes for a better future.
That I still have faith in the future, however dark the night, however dreary the day, I still believe that we shall overcome.
The college has many prominent alumni who advanced the civil rights movement in America through their extraordinary actions and accomplishments. Marie Maynard Daly, who received her BA in 1942. She was the first African-American woman in the United States to earn a PhD in chemistry. Daly's groundbreaking work helped clarify how the human body works. Later in her career, she developed programs to increase the number of minorities in medical schools and graduate science programs. Helen Marshall, who received her BA in 1975 and a Master of Science in Education in 1980. She was the first African-American woman elected as Borough President of Queens. She served 3 terms from 2002 to 2013. Helen Marshall was also the founding chair of the City Council Higher Education Committee and a New York State Assembly member who was known as a champion of public higher education. Irene Morgan, who received her Master of Arts in 1990. She was an African-American woman known for her refusal to give up her seat on a bus to a white traveler while traveling from Virginia to Maryland on July 16, 1944, 11 years before Rosa Parks' refusal to move on a city bus. Irene Morgan's stand led to a United States Supreme Court decision that segregation in interstate travel was illegal. Toni Cade Bambara, who received her BA in 1959, was an acclaimed author and civil rights activist. Her books, short stories, and screenplays promoted feminism and African American culture. As a professor at CCNY, she also helped to develop the Sikh program during its infancy. And most recently, Khalil Anderson, who received his BA in 2015, was elected on November 3rd, 2020, to serve as a New York State Assembly member from Southeast Queens, representing the 31st Assembly District. He became the youngest African-American assemblyman in the history of New York State. Queens College students and faculty have engaged in peaceful protest over the years, including during the late 1960s and 1970s, when groups like Students for a Democratic Society, the Ad Hoc Committee to End Political Suppression, and United People sought to advance student rights and academic freedom. The Percy Ellis Sutton Search for Education and Knowledge, or SEEK program, has its roots in both protest and legislative action. Queens College, like other CUNY senior colleges, was a center of activism during the same period. Most recently, the Queens College Student Association organized peaceful rallies in support of Black Lives Matter. The college proudly administers the historic Louis Armstrong House Museum in honor of the iconic jazz musician's life and legacy, and through which new artists are provided opportunities to flourish. The college's Benjamin Rosenthal Library maintains the Civil Rights and Social Justice Archives, which includes the papers of James R. Foreman, the Executive Secretary of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, as well as those of civil rights activists like Mark Levy, Dean Savage, and other alumni and former faculty. In 2014, President Barack Obama presided over a very special ceremony to honor a Queens College student.
On June 21st, 1964, 3 young men, 2 white and 1 black, set out to learn more about the burning of a church in Neshoba County, Mississippi. James Earl Chaney, 21 years old. Andrew Goodman, 20 years old. Michael Henry Schwerner, 24 years old. Young men. And in that Freedom Summer, these three Americans refused to sit on the sidelines. Their brutal murder by a gang of Ku Klux Klan members shook the conscience of our nation. It took 44 days to find their bodies, 41 years to bring the lead perpetrator to justice. And while they're often remembered for how they died, we honor them today for how they lived, with the idealism and the courage of youth. James, Andrew, and Michael could not have known the impact they would have on the civil rights movement or on future generations. And here today, inspired by their sacrifice, we continue to fight for the ideals of equality and justice for which they gave their lives.
Are